the long road trip, not the long road trip, but you had that other game against Butler, but you've been at home for a while and going out and playing on the road, and how was that? I mean,
well, I thought first of all, I was overall very, very pleased with the performance of our team over the weekend. Taking a trip like this is a tournament atmosphere. Our expectation is that we gain some type of experience in a situation where we're competing to win the tournament. Starting out with IUPUI, I was just really, really pleased with the type of defense we played. I think overall this weekend, the greatest improvement our team made was on the defensive side of the ball. And I started with a really good performance against IUPUI. Looking at the final score, 63-56, that's an overtime score. So you look at the amount of points that we were allowing in regulation. I thought we did a great job.
Yeah.
And we've taken a significant step with our team on the defensive end, and that was my greatest joy of this tournament. I thought our kids responded well to being on the road, and we struggled on the road last year, and I thought we performed well in both games. We had some lapses in both games, but we bounced back in the IUPUI. We bounced back in both games, but it wasn't enough against
us. The second game, you just got a little bit too far behind, so that when you get some spurts, you're still behind by 10 or 8 or something like that, so it wasn't like you could.
Right.
It was kind of hard to overcome.
I thought we played exceptionally well in the first half. I thought we were very systematic. We took care of both the ball and we took care of defensive assignments and communicated well on defense, kept us in the game at halftime. And then we came out of the locker room, and for the first 5 minutes, we just shut down completely, and that's when they got their significant lead. But what was really good for me to see is how we recovered from that, because we could have folded and it could have gotten ugly. I think they scored 8 points within maybe 2 minutes out of out of halftime. We already had a deficit of 6 points, so that was quite a dagger. But we regrouped, and then we made a run of our own, and I thought we showed signs of really fighting. Now, we played back-to-back games. They had a day off between games. I thought that was a factor down the stretch, because we made that push. We cut it all the way to 6 or 7, and then they continued to sub new and fresher bodies at us, because we had just played an overtime game and then came back the following day, and we're playing a very up tempo. They like to really push the tempo. I think they average 88 points a game, so I thought we did a nice job of keeping that down for the most part. And at the end we had to foul, so we gave up some points, just stopping the clock and giving them free throws. So I thought we did a good job defensively this whole weekend.
Yeah. What do you think you need to do to keep that defensive surge going? I mean, by the nature of the game, a lot of people like to play offense, and a lot of people don't like to play defense, and sometimes that's one of the hardest things as a coach, to get them to play defense without fouling much, and being strong at both ends of the court. I mean, do you feel as if this is a good group that kind of responds to that and says, because some players are like that. They say, I like playing defense more than I do offense, but that's more the exception than the rule.
Well, I think, the majority of this team coming back from I think a poor defensive season last year. I don't think that we were very good defensively last year. We've talked a lot about that, and about the difference between playing defense as a unit or having, a kid or two out there who are gambling, and that's really with Shea Winton on our team last year. She was the defensive player of the year, but she was a defensive player of the year because she, read the offense and made gambles and stole the ball a lot. She took a lot of charges. She was the one coming to the ball even when it wasn't within our system for her to come to the ball. We felt from the get-go of this season that we would be better as a unit, because we weren't allowing that freedom defensively for a kid to roam or read passing lanes, and you can see that they're relying on each other more and sticking with our defensive system more. We've made some changes to our defense, and I think I wouldn't have said that they were overly enthusiastic about it prior to this weekend. But when I walked in the locker room, I said, tell me what your thoughts are having played these 2 games back to back. Tell me what your thoughts are about our team on this trip. What do you feel good about? What don't you? And they all said, defense. We think our defense has gotten a lot better. So I think they're enthusiastic about it. I think they saw where they could, really improve our game. And so I think they're really buying into it, and I think that's exciting. I think that really shows, and it'll reflect on the floor because they like the transition that we're making defensively.
So looking forward to Thursday against Ohio, what do you see from them?
Well, the new coach at Ohio U is a former coach at Youngstown State and was on our league, and we've played against them, for the years he's been there. They're running the same type of offense, the same type of defense. We're going to see if he stays true to what he's done. We're going to see man-to-man defense, throughout the whole game. And then offensively, they run a motion offense, and they allow all of their players to shoot the 3. They were a very significant 3-point shooting team at Youngstown, and that's what they're trying to continue at OU. So we'll see that, a lot of freedom to shoot it, long rebounds, and aggressive to the basket, because they count on the fact that you're going to come flying out at the shooters, and then when you start doing that, they'll drive it to the basket. So a couple kids who are shooting a significant amount of free throws, a couple of their guards. So we just, and it's going to be similar. Their motion offense will be a bit similar to what we saw against Moorhead. So even our young kids have some experience in this. Our upperclassmen have defended this type of offense for a couple of years. So.
What about Imani Gordon? She's been doing pretty well. She had a double-double against IEPU, however you say that.
Yeah.
And then she had, what was it, 25 points against East Carolina. Is she really coming into becoming a leader, or is that just that she's scoring and rebounding a lot? I mean, statistically, it's hard to say.
One thing I want to say is that Imani is, we don't run any sets for anybody. We've done that very little in the past. So Imani is utilizing our offense, reading what she has, and attacking gaps when she can, getting to the free throw line, rebounding well. She stepped up her game immensely. But what her greatest attribute to our team is right now is that she's very consistent. She's showing leadership in that respect because we know what we're going to get from her. Her effort is outstanding. She's having to play a lot of minutes. And she's our best defensive player. She is in help when she's supposed to be. She rarely misses her defensive assignments. I've been very, very pleased with how she's matured, and I think she would say that she's been waiting for this opportunity to step into a bigger role, and now she's ready to do that. I don't know if she was ready any earlier than now, but she certainly is now.
Yeah. Along with that, though, I mean, like you said, you don't run an offensive set based on, getting points for one person, but you had pretty good distribution. You had 3 double-figure scorers in each of these games, so you got to like that. You probably wish you could get more scoring out of some of the other people, particularly the last game, but it was still nice to get some other people in there that,
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've seen and what will help us down the road, Haley was an all-tournament team player in this game and hit some big shots for us. I think she went 4 for 5 from the 3-point line. That's significant because moving forward, teams, as they scout us, are going to see, okay, this is a kid we can't let roam out on the perimeter. We've got to get out on her. And their bigs, typically against our 5-out motion, they like to stick, their big kids inside, or they'll select one kid that they're not really going to guard on the perimeter. Now, who is that going to be? It's not going to be Haley. Imani has established herself as a kid who can now shoot the 3. Odessa has had, some great. She hit a 3 in our overtime game against IUPUI. Just a tremendous shot that I think was sort of the icing on the cake for that game. After sitting most of the second half, she came in overtime, hit a 3, hit a 2. She's definitely a player that has to be defended, and of course Kirsten and Corey, who've been our key scorers on the perimeter. So I think our starting five have really put us in a position where nobody's going to be able to just sag and not defend us on the perimeter. That, I believe, was the game plan when we faced East Carolina. I think that was their game plan, to play a sagging man. And we stepped out. Both Haley and Imani hit threes to start off the game. So I like that we've got 4 players now that are averaging in double figures, and that Adeswa, our 5th starter, has had a couple of double-figure games, so that she, everyone knows she's very capable of that. We're still bringing our freshmen along. As you know, our 3 of our 4 subs off the bench are freshmen, and the other is a sophomore. They're coming along. They've had, flashes of what's to come, and as they become more consistent, we'll become more. Have more depth, I guess, is what I want to say.
Right.
That's something that we've really lacked in the past.
Yeah. And it's going to be the younger players, like we were talking about last time. You're hoping to get them, more minutes.
Yeah, and I'm committed to trying to get 10 minutes a game, for those 3 freshmen who are coming off our bench right now. Consistency is the biggest thing for them, and I think consistency comes with experience. And if you don't give them experience, then they're going to have to fight the consistency thing next year as well. So we're trying to give them enough time to really feel some level of comfort when they're on the floor.
Okay.